Okay, as you all know, this is the FSR 500 by FSReborn. And basically, what this is a copy or a simulation of the Piper M500 turboprop. I'm really excited about this airplane. Honestly, I didn't know it even came out. I just ran across it, reading the standard, flight sim uh, articles, and then of course the first look YouTube video. Usually the first look YouTube videos, they're not out yet. So when this came out, when I found out it came out, I was really excited. Like, oh, okay, because this is one of my favorite airplanes. So of course there's a Beach Bonanza, and then with the Beach Bonanza, there's the Piper M500. So I'm looking forward to flying this airplane. Now, as you can see, of course, the one thing I can say about the vast majority of companies that create aircraft for Microsoft Flight Simulator is that they are very well rendered. This is no different. It looks great from the outside. So let's go ahead and go into the inside. Okay, so what you have here now is the what you have here is the Garmin. Excuse me, the Garmin NXI series or G1000 NXI series. Over here you have the FSR 500 tablet. So with this aircraft, I really do think they're going for study level on this. So usually they come with a tablet where you can keep track of the status and statistics of your aircraft. So if you want to have failures and do all that kind of stuff, you can. Now this also integrates with SimBrief. I haven't really figured out how to do that yet. I do have a SimBrief account. I tried to import from SimBrief. I'm going to try it again now. It says I have to have a username and SimBrief. So it will, if you want to spend time figuring out how to do that, you can. Now also Navigraph charts. Here we are. So it does integrate with Navigraph charts. And I think that's pretty cool. And if you are a member of Navigraph, this is actually just a perk. Now, as you can see here, this is your fuel and ground operations. So over here, you have if it's static display, you want to turn on all these things, you can. You could add passengers, passenger weights, cargo weights. I'm going to go ahead and put full fuel on board because it's just a thing. I like full fuel when I take off. Now, if you want to, now you want to have a charter service or something to that effect, you can use this for the passengers and monitor cabin comfort. Of course, for those who like to do the maintenance thing, here it is. You can do that maintenance thing and it'll be fun. And so right now I have everything pretty much turned off except the electronic stability protection. Everything else is off, so I'm not going to really worry about wear and tear and things like that. I'm just going to fly it as it is because I don't get into all that. And of course, your settings, your units of measure. Now, this action camera thing is interesting. So what happens with that is if when you start the engine, it'll leave the cockpit and give you this really dramatic cinematic view of the engine starting up. And it's kind of cool. So if you do get this airplane, do it once just to get the fun of it. And then after that, you can move on. So here's where you enter your username. I haven't entered my Navigraph or SimBrief username just because I have it. I will eventually, I guess. But I'm not going to do that right now. So that's basically your tablet. The one thing about this airplane, and the one thing I really enjoy about these aircraft that are going towards study level, is the fact that you can manipulate just about everything in the airplane. So here you have the circuit breakers, and you can manipulate the circuit breakers as you so choose. And you can manipulate just about everything. The ELT, I mean, if you want to turn up the climate control, air conditioner, warm, you can do all of that. Here you have your FMS is right here. You can enter things here, such as your flight plan, procedures, all that. You can do the same thing up here as well. The NXI also has, in this particular aircraft, also has the wing leveler mode, which basically what happens is if you get spatially disorientation in IMC or instrument meteorological conditions, you press that button, wings level, and so that prevents things like graveyard spirals, things like that. So it's a very good, safe thing to have. I wish all aircraft have it, but they don't. And here's your pressurization system right there. Your flap indicators and your indicated airspeeds for the flaps, the rudder trim. So overall, this seems like it's going to be a pretty simple airplane to fly. I mean, you can even turn on music and a microphone if you want to. Like I said, when you get this airplane for yourself, you can explore a lot of these things. I just want to let you know they're there. Oh, and by the way, say hi to our co-pilot. Hi. I haven't figured out how to turn her off yet, and I'm not really worried about it right now. I just want to show the airplane. Now, back here in the where the passengers sit, passenger seats, you can operate this table if you want to. So the passengers can actually do that. All right, so let's go ahead and start this airplane. Now, the one thing I know about the M500, it's got a FADEC control system, so the starting is going to be easier. All I got to do is make sure this is in idle. Take my condition lever forward. Now, I'm using an alpha yoke, a honeycomb alpha yoke, and of course, I've got the Bravo throttle quadrant. Sometimes the aircraft will not, the buttons aren't programmed to the aircraft by default, so you have to kind of see if it does. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and switch the master and battery switches on my yoke, and of course, it doesn't come on. So what I know now is that I'm just going to have to go up here and press battery.
Check gear.
I bumped my gear lever up, so I brought it back down. So now you see that the power's on. Primary flight display lights up. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my beacon and my strobes, just so somebody knows we're active. And then from here, I'm going to turn on the automatic fuel pumps, automatic ignition. And then from there, hit the start button. Go from there. And we'll see if this starts up. It's my annunciator panel. Okay, looks like we're going to get a good start. Okay. Got a good start, so we'll go ahead and turn on my avionics. First, I'm going to try it with the alpha yoke avionics switches and see if they come on. And they do. And if they didn't, I would just hit that button. So now the multifunction display comes up, and this is what it looks like. All right, next up, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get the ATIS where our flight today is going to be from KSUS, which is basically Spirit of St. Louis Airport, Chesterfield, Missouri, to KCPS. That's St. Louis downtown, and that is actually in Cahokia, Illinois. About 15 minutes, not too terribly long. And we're going to explore some of the flight characteristics of this airplane while we're en route. The one thing I know about Pipers is they are very stable, so hopefully this is just as stable as its piston counterparts. Go ahead and talk to air traffic control, and let's get ATIS on here. Come on. Okay, so we're getting ATIS. For some strange reason, it is not talking. I don't know why that is. I think it might be a matter of bandwidth, because I've got several things streaming, like this Navigraph charts is going. So maybe if your system's a little higher end or you got better internet, maybe it'll work. I do know for a fact it does work. It's just not working right now. So it's not a function of the airplane. I think it's a function of my system just not doing everything it's supposed to do. So we're going to go ahead and go to Spirit Ground, and we're going to depart east.
Spirit Ground
Oh, now it wants to work.
Tango Delta ready to taxi departure to the east with X-ray.
Okay, half of it wants to work. So we're going to go ahead and request 26 right.
Spirit Ground, can 1 Tango Delta get runway 26 right?
Okay, so we'll just read this from here.
Taxiing hold short runway 26 right via taxiway Charlie Bravo 1 Tango Delta.
All right, and from here, we're going to release the park brake. We're going to taxi out. Okay, so I got several things going on. I've got ForeFlight operating. I've got Navigraph operating. I've got the photogamy running. So hopefully it'll start talking back. If not, we'll just continue to read. The Piper actually does taxi pretty well. It also has reverse thrust, so if I want to slow down, or beta as they call it, I can slow down. So that's really great for short runways. All right, we're going to stop here. Want to tune to Spirit Tower. We're going to give ourselves 10 degrees of flaps. As you can see, our flap lever there. And then we're going to request takeoff from Spirit.
Spirit Tower 701 Tango Delta ready for east departure at runway 26 right. Cleared for takeoff runway 26 right 1 Tango Delta.
Enter runway 261, 4,900 feet remaining.
Okay. We're going to advance the throttles. Okay, positive rate of climb, gear up, flaps up. And we're going to go to about 2,500 feet. And since we have to read all of our
Spirit Tower 701 Tango Delta, continue for east departure.
All right, so what I see right now is the airplane is very stable. I've got it getting ready to trim it out and see if it'll hold trim. And it does, it's not bad. It does hold trim very well. And in a turn, that's not an easy thing to do. So it's not too bad for trim wise.
Class Bravo at 6.1 miles.
Okay, nice smooth turns. Hold here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on the autopilot. I'm going to slow this thing down. Turn on the autopilot. See what we get here. So intercept our course. All right, so we're gonna go, say, press our heading button in, go heading, and we're gonna climb up to 2,500. And we're going to hit our altitude. So now it's holding heading and altitude. Yeah, now it's getting ready to hold our altitude. Okay. We're going to do a flight level change. Okay, so that comes on when you
Check gear.
it comes on when you have the throttle way down. I'm trying to get back down to 2,500.
Check gear.
And to get the
Check gear.
airplane to hold 2,500.
Check gear. Check gear. Check gear.
There we go.
Check gear.
Now we'll give it some gas. All right, so we got our heading set. Let's see if we can change our heading and intercept our course.
Check gear. Check gear. Check gear. Check gear.
Yeah, I don't
Check
know why this
gear.
isn't picking up the altitude like it should.
Check gear. Check gear. Check gear.
There we go.
Check gear. Check gear.
And there we go. Okay, so it would be a good idea to turn on the autopilot master when trying to use autopilot. I failed to do that, and that is why things did not go the way they should. So once I figured that out, I fixed it. I'm going to get back to my altitude, and then I'm going to see if it'll pick up the navigation. And I'm also going to pick up ATIS while I'm at it. All right, let's turn our heading. Left. Go nav. So now I'm looking for KCPS.
Class junction 8.9 miles.
Let's see if we can't get ATIS. Like, there it is. All right. We're 11 miles out. It's going to be pretty quick. So we're going to get ourselves in position to land here shortly. Okay. So we'll go ahead and request a full stop landing. All right, good. So we got that. We're going to be landing on 30 left. So what I can do now is I can go over here. I can set up, go back from route, and go to KCPS here. And hopefully that'll come up. There we go. So as I've said before, usually when I review these airplanes, if they're available, I like to put in the description the actual pilot's operating handbook. And so I have that for this aircraft, the Piper M500, so I'll be putting that in the description. Also too, if you are enjoying this content, I do several things. I have flight simulation, obviously. I also do plane spotting. And since I'm a licensed pilot, you will also see flights from me. If you enjoy any of those things, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. Okay, so our GPS is active. It has picked up our course line, finally. And if you look off to your left, you can see St. Louis downtown. Or actually, this is Clayton here. And downtown St. Louis is right here. This is, of course, the Mississippi River. And now I'm going to go ahead and get ready for landing. So I'm going to turn off my autopilot and slow this down.
Check gear.
We're going to go ahead and descend to our pattern
Check
altitude.
gear. Check gear.
Okay. Gear down. 10 degrees of flaps. Landing here at 30 left. I'm really enjoying flying this airplane. This is going to be one of my favorite airplanes to use. Turn on my track IR now because go ahead and turn on my landing lights. Verify that we do have clearance to land. All right, good. We're clear to land. Okay. Drop some more flaps. flaps are down. We're going to trim it nose down. And again, the trim is really nice on this airplane. So this is one of the easier airplanes to fly.
Short final runway 30 left.
Yeah, if you all hear anything in the background, that's my 4th light that I have hooked up to Microsoft Flight Sim. There we go. And of course we have the beta range. Now, one thing I found interesting is that I was going pretty slow. I think I shouldn't have floated this far, but you know, also I don't really know if that would be the case in the real Piper. So I had lots of flaps out. But either way it go, it lands very nicely. Now we're going over the ground, and we're just going to go over the parking. Okay, on 4th flight, this taxiway is closed, so we can't use that one. We'll go down to the next one. And so now you can see where we're gyro. Oops. I want to take off my tracker IR. There we go. So now you can see that I'm synchronized on the navigraph.
Approaching runway 12 left.
Sure nobody's on final or not.
Enter runway 12 left. 5,200 feet remaining.
And so now we're heading over to. It's pretty stable on the ground too. All right. Okay, so we'll go ahead and kill our avionics. So I did that from here. Then we're gonna go turn those off, and then just okay. So now the airplane is winding down. Stay on the brakes. I would say this: I really do enjoy this airplane, and I would highly recommend to anybody actually buy this airplane. It's a good airplane. It's pretty accurate from what I can tell. It looks good. It flies well. And so, yeah, absolutely recommend this one. Anyway, that being said, again, if you enjoyed this this particular review, feel free to subscribe and share. In the meantime, blue skies and tailwinds.